My name is Margaret Whitlock. At 76 years old, I stood in the doorway of my own home, watching my 3 children, Charles 48, Leo 45, and their perfect little wife, Penelope 42, celebrate what they believed was my funeral while I was still breathing. They had chosen the most expensive restaurant in the city to announce my retirement to the Hope Grove Senior Living Center. White linen tablecloths, crystal glasses, fresh oysters, champagne on ice. Everything looked like a celebration, but it was my execution. And I was the guest of honor who wasn't supposed to know she was already dead. Mom, you're going to love it there, Penelope said, flashing her They have knitting classes, watercolor painting, even bingo on Fridays. It's perfect for someone your age. As if turning 76 automatically turned me into a different species. If the woman who built a real estate empire from $8,000 in 1978 was now only good for yarn and bingo cards. Charles nodded like an obedient dog. Leo kept checking his phone, probably tracking the value of my properties going up by the minutes. I just smiled. A soft, grandmotherly smile, the same one I'd worn for years while they slowly bled me dry. Yes, darling, I said sweetly. It sounds wonderful. Inside, something finally shattered for good. Not my heart, my patience. That night, while they thought I was drugged on the sleeping pills Penelope had helpfully left on my nightstand, I listened from the top of the stairs. They were in my kitchen, drinking my best wine and counting my money. The beach house alone is worth $1.8 million now, Charles whispered. The downtown commercial building, another $3.2 million. The 3 residential towers, easily $12 million combined. And the investment portfolio, Leo laughed, at least $8 million liquid. Total, over $25 million. All of it, built by me. Brick by brick. Deal by deal. Sleepless night by sleepless night. Penelope giggled. Once she's in the home, we declare incompetence. The doctor's report is ready. The lawyer says we can move fast. Charles raised his glass. To Mom, may she knit many scarves and die peacefully soon. They clinked glasses. Laughed. Toasted my death. I went back to my room, took out the small recorder hidden under my mattress, and saved the file. I had been recording them for 3 years. I knew this day was coming, because I had raised vultures, and vultures always circle before they strike. The next morning, they came to help me pack. I had already packed. One small suitcase. My real passport, the key to a safe deposit box they didn't know existed, and the original Wilf, the one they had never seen. Ma, we're so glad you're excited, Penelope cooed, folding my nightgowns like she cared. I looked at her. At Charles. At Leo. And I smiled the same soft smile. I am excited, I said. Today is going to be a very important day. They exchanged glances. They thought I was being senile again. Perfect. We arrived at Hope Grove at 10:30 a.m. The director, Mrs. Langford, greeted us warmly. Double quotes, Mrs. Whitlock. We've prepared your suite. It's one of our best. Wonderful, I said. But first, I'd like to speak with my family, privately, in the conference room. They followed me, still smiling, still thinking they had one. When the door closed, I turned to face them. Before we sign anything, I said quietly, there are a few things you should know. I placed my phone on the table and pressed play. Charles's voice filled the room. The beach house alone is worth $1.8 million now. Leo's laugh. The investment portfolio, at least $8 million, liquid. Penelope, once she's in the home, we declare incompetence. The doctor's report is ready. The recording went on for 7 full minutes. Every word, every laugh, every toast to my death. When it finished, the room was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. Charles turned white. Leo looked like he was going to vomit. Penelope's fake lashes started to come loose from her tears. I spoke calmly. Have been recording you for 3 years. Every conversation, every plan, every insult. I have backups in 3 different states. I have given copies to my attorney, to the district attorney, and to a private investigator. Leo tried to speak. Mom, we were just joking. I finished planning my murder by paperwork. Charles stammered. This is taken out of context. Context. I laughed softly. The context is that you drugged me, planned to steal $25 million, and celebrated my death with champagne. That is the only context that matters. Penelope sobbed. Please, the children, they need stability. The children you never let me meet. I asked, The grandchildren I've never held. You used them as emotional weapons for years. Don't you dare use them now. I took out the second folder. This is my real will, the one you never saw, the one you thought you had destroyed. I placed it on the table. In this will, each of you inherits exactly $10,000, a symbolic amount, a reminder of the $10,000 I gave each of you as a down payment on your first homes, money you never repaid. Leo's eyes widened. But the rest, $25 million and growing, is going to the Margaret Whitlock Foundation for Abandoned Elders, a national network of safe homes for women over 65 who have been discarded by their families. Women like me, but who won't have to fight alone. Penelope collapsed into a chair. Charles stared at the will like it was a death sentence. And there is one more thing, I said. I opened my phone again. This time, it was a live stream. The screen showed a press conference already in progress. A reporter was speaking. Today, real estate legend Margaret Whitlock has announced the creation of the largest private foundation in U.S. history dedicated to protecting senior citizens from financial elder abuse. She has also filed criminal complaints against her 3 children for attempted fraud, forgery, conspiracy to commit elder abuse, and multiple counts of financial exploitation. The camera panned to my attorney, who held up copies of the recordings. Evidence has been turned over to federal authorities. Mrs. Whitlock has also frozen all assets and placed them under independent trusteeship until the criminal proceedings conclude. I turned off the live stream. My children looked like statues. You went public, Charles whispered. Yes, I said. Because the only thing more powerful than money is shame. Penelope started crying hysterically. Leo looked like he wanted to run. Charles just stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. You planned this for years, he asked. Since the day you started asking how much the beach house was worth, I answered. Since the day you stopped inviting me to Christmas. Since the day you began treating me like an inconvenience instead of your mother. I stood up. Now listen carefully, because this is the last time I will ever speak to you as your mother. I looked each one in the eyes. You have 2 choices. Choice 1, you confess, fully, publicly, you take responsibility for what you did. You accept whatever sentence the court gives you. And maybe, just maybe in 10 or 15 years, when you've paid your debt to society, I might consider letting you write me a letter. Nothing more. Choice 2, you run, you deny everything, you fight me in court, you drag my name through the mud, and when you lose, and you will lose, we'll make sure every single detail of your betrayal becomes public record. Every recording, every forged signature, every cruel joke about waiting for me to die. And then you will be the ones knitting in a prison cell, not me. I walked to the door. This is your last chance to choose dignity over greed. Choose wisely. I opened the door. Mrs. Langford was waiting outside with security. These 3 people are no longer welcome here, I said. Please escort them out. Charles tried to speak. Leo reached for me. Penelope sobbed. I didn't look back. I walked down the hallway of the place they thought would be my prison, and stepped into the sunshine. That afternoon, I held a press conference of my own. I told the world everything. I showed the recordings. I showed the forged documents. I showed the foundation's plans. And I ended with these words. I spent 50 years building an empire. I've spent the last 15 years watching my own children try to steal it. Today I give it away, not to them, but to every woman who was ever told she was too old, too weak, too expensive to matter. This is not revenge. This is justice. And justice has a very long memory. The next morning, the headlines read, Real estate matriarch disinherits children, donates $25 million to elder abuse victims. My phone rang nonstop. Reporters. Old friends, women who thanked me with tears in their voices. And then silence. My children never called again. They chose to fight. They lost. They went to prison. I never visited. Instead, I opened the first Hope home. Then the second, then the 10th. Today, there are 47 across the country. Every single one named after a woman who was discarded and refused to stay discarded. And every morning, I wake up in my small beach cottage, the only property I kept for myself, make coffee, walk to the garden, and thank Aunt Josephine, Richard, Eliza, and every woman who ever survived what I survived, because the greatest revenge isn't taking everything back, it's giving everything away to the people who truly deserve it, and leaving the vultures with nothing but regret. God bless.